Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women. That is good. That is good.
Hello, welcome to Wild Warrior. This is our game 2 of our series, Dwarf vs. Skaven. And this scenario is Raise and Ruin. It comes after the overrun of the Dwarf defenses in the last one. And this one's a little different. It's basically 2,500 points versus my 75% of that, so like 1,875. So I devised an army list with those points in mind, but not a total redo, just kind of a reduction, and made a couple changes. I have 2 rune smiths now, so one has a spell eater and one has a spellbreaker rune, and then I got rid of the grudge thrower, so I got to deploy my the terrain, which is a big advantage for the defenders, but you know, it's still kind of difficult in that the only thing that counts is having the buildings, and this is 7 turns, and the Skaven actually have to move in on turn 1. They go first, but they have to move in, so it's pretty much like a 6-turn game. But so the watchtower 1 counts for 2, and then the other buildings count for 1, and whoever controls the most of those wins. So so I deployed all the buildings kind of in a little clump. I didn't want them spread out across the table because I wouldn't be able to get my guys. And I also had to have half my unit within 6 inches of the board edge too. So that's kind of why I'm deployed like this. So I started with a cannon in the far left with some slayers next to it, and then 10 hammers there behind that little barn, a copter. I've got 10 iron drakes up there behind that fence, and 25 thunders with my special character, and then a runesmith, and then an organ gun in the yellow building, and then I've got 25 warriors to the right there, and there's another runesmith in there with a spell, the one that doesn't get rid of spells. So my plan is to just hold these buildings and do some shooting. I don't know why I took the slayers. I just wanted another unit that could you know, do some decent combat. I thought, you know, if I was defending a building or something, and then I ended up deploying them back here by this cannon just to protect it from his little shooty guys. The iron drakes are, and I had to deploy my whole army first, and then he moved on, and so yeah, there's that. I don't really. I mean, the advantages to the Skaven in this scenario, in how they want to approach it. So I'll have the hammers in the one, my big block in the other, and then I've got these warriors on the far right that I'm planning to just move around the building and go after him and kind of fight with him. The organ gun can hold the building as long as I keep everything away from it. So yeah, there's my 25 thunders with the special character. You know, they'll be able to just shoot things up and hopefully hold that tower for quite a while. The slayers being clear back on the left, you know, kind of makes them out of the game when I deploy, but at the time I didn't really know what to do with them, and that's where they ended up. So over on the right side of my lines here, I just got my great weapon warriors, and there's a runesmith in there. They're just planning to. I had to start with so many things back in the 6-inch line too. That also affected a lot of my deployment. But they're going to be moving up and around the side of that building and just kind of threaten the sides of the Skaven, going after that watchtower. And then I do also have a cannon. Both my cannons, one has Rune of Flaming and the other one's just plain. Neither one of them have Rune of Forging. And there's my other cannon clear back here. So he's just going to fire shots down the side, but nothing is really coming after him. I figured if he sent anything after it, it'd be just points of his how to be left out of the game after I get a few shots, so no big deal. So, like I said, the Skaven actually start off the board, and they move on their first turn. So there's no lightning cannon that's going to be shooting me. The only thing I'll have to worry about is some magic, and so from what moved onto the board, he's got his Doom Wheel on the far left. He's got a Rack Pat there, Rat Dart, Hell Pit Abomination, which is across from my Flaming Cannon and my Iron Drakes. So I'm liking that. with the Iron Drakes and the Flaming Cannon, and then all those Thunders in the tower, as long as I hit it with a Flame Wound, I should be able to knock that Hell Pit out. And there's a Lightning Cannon back there. And then in his center of his army here, and it's kind of a blurry picture, but it's a big bunch of slaves. He's got Storm Vermin with Queek the Head Taker, and there's also the BSB in there. And then he's got like 6 Rat Ogres back there with a couple handlers, and then a bunch of slaves again. And then to the right of that, he's got another Lightning Cannon, and then some Clan Rats with his Greyseer. Now, he's got 2 Warlock Engineers. I think only one has spells and one has a Doom Rocket. And then he's got that Greyseer there. And if you've seen any of my other battle reports, and when I've been playing against some of the Skaven, Dreaded 13th, 6 dice spamming Dreaded 13th is pretty much all that he does. I'm not too worried about the other spells. I mean, he can damage the buildings and whatnot, but with the Crack's Call, but it doesn't really. So he starts off, throws a Warp Lightning. I let that one go. Don't even bother. And he ends up killing 3 Thunders with that. And then he 6 dices Dreaded 13th at these Thunders in the tower, and turn 1 he fails to cast it. Didn't have enough. And that kind of bugs me, because I couldn't even spell eat it. They should change that. Like the Hex Scroll and things like that, you should be able to still deploy those. Try to eat that spell on a fail, or try to turn him into a frog with the Hex Scroll and whatnot. But nope, can't even do that. So I've got 2 scrolls still, and the spell didn't go off, so that's good. That pretty much ends Skaven turn 1. And then for the Dwarf's turn, he pops on the beginning of my turn, he pops the Storm Banner. So my helicopter can only move 2 inches. I got hardly any shooting. I'm able to fire my organ gun and 1 cannon. As far as the organ gun's ballistic skill. So out of the 2 cannons, 1 cannon was able to shoot, and the organ gun still fired, but it needed like 7s to hit. Long range, -2 for the whatchamacallit. And with all my Thunders and organ gun, I'm able to kill a few slaves. I think 4. Not slaves, Storm Vermin with 4. So hey, I get to reroll misses with my special character for the Thunders, and that helped get a couple more. And that's just a picture of the same thing. And otherwise, my cannonball, I believe, misses. And I think I fired at I don't remember. It was a lightning cannon. Oh no, I didn't miss. I took out 1 lightning cannon because it was the cannon on the far right that did not have flaming. So I was able to take out a lightning cannon, the one on the far right. So Skaven turn 2. Hell Pit comes rumbling up there, and the Storm Banner went away. So that was nice, because now I'm going to be able to shoot those Iron Drakes at that guy, and then be able to either finish it off with a cannon. Now he's really close to my guys there, so I got to put the cannonball right in the right sweet spot there. But I figure if an Iron Drake does a wound, then the rifles over here can pluck away at it, and I should be able to kill that thing with no regen, with that many shots, basically 20 shots out of that tower, plus Grimberluxen's weapon after a flame hit on it. I should be able to drop that thing with the rerolling to hits. And then otherwise he just kind of moves. He starts moving those Rat Ogres around to the right, or his left, my right. And then so Dreaded 13th, 6 dice with a power scroll. So he only needed like a 12 to get it to go off, and he miscast. So I'm not even able to use a spell scroll, or eat it or dispel it with the scroll. And he kills about 13 or so. 13 dwarves. So yep, they're gone. Magic resistance doesn't help, and nothing helps. So that's half the unit. And he took a small template for. He took a wound on the Greyseer and killed some clan rats. Oh, I also in this game I do have a unit of 10 miners, but They haven't even rolled to come on yet. On turn 2, they do not come on in turn 2. That would have been a nice threatening unit behind these guys here, but with no anvil, you can't move in and charge or anything, but the miners are still back there somewhere. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of Skaven turn 2, and then we go to the Dwarf turn, and so I need to kill the Hell Pit. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not worried about slaves trying to get in the building. The storm vermin kind of been dragging their heels a little. I'm not too worried about them either. With Queek, then they'll be able to do some damage, but I'd be stubborn in that building on a 9. I don't think he'll do very many wounds, but But so on my turn, I fire some more bullets into those storm vermin. Because what happens is my cannonball. I backed my iron drakes up about 2 inches because they can move and fire. They backed up. They fired. They hit out of the 10 shots. They hit with 5. And strength 5 versus toughness 5, I believe. I needed 4 ups to cause a wound, and I rolled none. So shitballs. I did none. And the reason I backed them up is because the cannonball needed a little more room to try to get in there. So I had to guess. The closest I could guess was 9 from the back end of that thing, and sure enough, I rolled a fucking 10. So the cannonball overshoots and did not hit the Hell Pit. So since I didn't put a flame wound on that thing, I'm kind of screwed, and I can't stand and shoot a random mover. So I'm like screwed. It's totally screwed now. So on his turn, I'm worried he's going to just move that Hell Pit into me. But he actually charges with the slaves first, and I fled from that charge. And I think he made at the time, I thought he made a pretty bad mistake there. Because I was able to get away. The Hell Pit didn't roll high enough to get to me. So, woohoo! I'll be able to rally on a leadership 10, turn around, and fire, repeat, start shooting that. So, he said he charged his slaves because he thought I'd be able to do his charge reaction on his Hell Pit. And, because that's how his Skaven book says, but I don't believe that's true. So I think 8th edition changed that with the random movers. So anywho, he moves both units on. They roll good enough to come in. One comes in behind the hammers here, and one comes in by the Hell Pit. And he mainly did that. He ends up moving a little farther. He did that so his zap wouldn't shoot the Hell Pit, because he could have killed that Hell Pit off in one turn with the D6 wounds. Here's just an overview. At the end of the Skaven turn, those guys came in, and this is where poison don't do anything. You try to shoot the hammers with one unit, and needing 7s to hit with the moving and the hard cover. Poison don't do anything, and he didn't do any wounds to the hammers. The other unit, I think they killed 1 iron drake, no 2, maybe 2 iron drakes. So over on the right side, in the middle, not a whole lot going on. But it's magic phase again, and every magic phase, if he rolls 6 or more dice, power dice, then it's a dreaded 13th or bust, and so he throws a dreaded 13th again. So turn 3. So the first one failed to go, the second one and the third one both go, and this time he turns the remaining 10 guys into clan rats. And that's including a runesmith and a special character. So yeah, there, boom, another dreaded 13th, and now he controls the watchtower with 10 clan rats, and he rolls the same miscast result, and he does a small template to his clan rats, and takes another wound on his Grey Seer. Now he doesn't have a ward save on his Grey Seer, so that's kind of crazy, but he doesn't. So over here, what happens is he zaps those guys and he kills 3. They fail their panic check and they run away from the doom wheel, and then they run through my iron drakes, and he loses another one to dangerous terrain. So that's 2 remaining guys there, and then my turn. Leadership 10, I fail it, and I run off the board. wow, that hurt a lot because I could have rallied, would have shot those guys up, and finish them off with either the organ gun, which could see it now because of where it's positioned, or those something. That really hurt. I was like, oh man, I cannot kill that hell pit. I can't. I got one cannonball shot left to try to deal with that hell pit. My other cannon on the far right had misfired, so I couldn't shoot one turn to the next. So over here, this is where things get really, really crazy. So after those iron drakes flood off, he's got those guys in there in the watchtower. I'm like, oh, I'm desperate. So I charge these slaves, knowing full well that they're going to be steadfast with a leadership general right behind there, whatever their leadership is. So I'm like, I charge them anyway, so screw it. And those rat ogres would probably be in my flank if I didn't break them. But I was just like, screw it. This game's pretty much over with. I figured I could, organ gun. I was going to try to organ gun the characters unit, and if I could get them down to 5 miles or less, I would then try to cannonball snipe his general. But the organ gun did horrible. Rolled like a 2 and a misfire, so I had like 2 shots at -1 more. Didn't do crap. But here, I kicked the crap out of the slaves, which you would imagine. 10 attacks with hatred. I kill like 10, and he kills maybe 1 of me, and he is steadfast, and he fails with a reroll, like a leadership 10 or something. I don't remember what it was. Fails with a reroll, and he breaks. I pursue, and I roll a 12, and I'm right in the face of his general's unit now. That's crazy. So over here, I go ahead and charge his hell pit. No, I didn't charge it. I tried to kill it with a cannon, and the cannonball missed by about a 1/16 of an inch. So I didn't do any wounds with it, the cannonball, and I charge it. So it looks like it maybe skipped ahead just a little bit here. Yeah, so I couldn't kill that with a cannonball. I mean, I'm talking a 1/16 of an inch. So I moved my slayers up to get in the way. They are unbreakable, but they're going to take a beating, and I know that. He had charged my hammers in that house there, and he's going to get a taste of dwarven steel here shortly, because I've got 20 attacks with 10 guys, and I'm rerolling misses, and I'm strength 6. So I actually, skipping ahead to the combat, I rolled really shitty, and I only kill about 11 or 12. And I mean, I rolled a lot of 1s and on my 2 wounds, but I still beat the tar out of them. But they don't pop because they're assaulting a building, so they just fall back 1 inch. And he realizes that is not going to happen. He's not. I'll kill about 18 a turn normally. With the re-rolling, maybe 16. I don't know what the math is on that, but a lot. And he'll be lucky to even kill 1 of me. So, my miners had come on, and they can see his general's unit and the lightning cannon. And on his turn, he didn't even move his general. He just kind of stood there stunned, trying to figure out what he's going to do. His Grey Seer's to the right there. So yeah, on his turn he charges, moves into these guys, charges them. The other thing, those clan rats behind that hell pit, when that big unit of slaves popped, a unit was destroyed within 6 inches of them, and they fled out of the watchtower, and they are now running away. So that was even a double win. So he comes in, does impact hits a bunch of slayers, kills a bunch. I don't get death blows for that part. No, and then I end up with like 1 slayer left at the beginning of my turn after all his attacks. Now over here, this is crazy. These rats, this little rat dart thing charges in to he should have done no wounds. He did 2. So I'm stubborn on leadership 9. Not rerollable, and I fail, and I break, and I flee. So now those guys can't occupy that, but he cleared my organ gun out of there. It's like brutal. So he got a little bit of luck back for my breaking of the slaves, and fleeing those guys out of the tower with that rat dart, who now does not have a pack master, because I was able to direct my single attack on him and kill him. So now it's just going to move towards the closest enemy and keep trying to attack the closest enemy, which I think is my hammers or maybe my gyrocopter. But yeah, so it's going really crazy. He's got his doom wheel coming over. He's trying to make a long drive into my great weapon guys, but he failed to make it to him. So here's my turn here. I believe it's getting ready to go to me. I got one Slayer left. They did really poorly. I did one wound to him. 2 hand weapons, always wounding on a 4-up. Even my death blows were sucking. He was making his 4-up regens, and I just, even with hatred, I figured I'd get a few more wounds on him, but I only ended up getting 1 on him. So on my turn, I'm looking at this thinking, what am I going to do? I can't shoot it because I got 1 Slayer left in there. So I don't want him killing him on my turn and then spinning around and charging the building. Now he can't do impact hits to the building, but with all his attacks and strength 6, I won't last very long. And I have no flaming in my hammers, so I think I took a bunch of more. We actually took a long break here and came back to the game after all that stuff. So that's probably why I got a bunch more pictures of the same thing. It's just I had forgotten where we left off. So it's now going to be the start of the Dwarf's turn. And I got my little charge template out there. I can see the back of the general's unit. So I'm really torn right here. If I charge with my great weapons, he'll flee away and maybe out of the charge arc of the miners. So I charge with the miners, and he flees. And he flees through my unit. And so I redirect, and I go ahead and go into the lightning cannon to take that out. My other unit has nothing to charge now, so I reform them around, and I move my runesmith out to face his Greyseer's unit. My runesmith is pretty much bare bones, but if he can just get into that Greyseer, I can kill it. So that's my plan there, and I move my hammers like that. So going to avoid that help hit at all costs for right now. My cannon, I tried to shoot the doom wheel, and I hit it, and I rolled 1 wound on it, and it didn't spin out of control or anything, so that was kind of disappointing. So the cannon's about to die either from the poison sling guys or the help hit. If you charge the help hit at it, that'd be fine by me. Go away from me. Just kind of hiding. If he comes around that building to try to get to where my hammers are, I've got my other cannon clear on the far right that doesn't have a whole lot to shoot at. I went ahead and targeted the doom wheel with this turn with it, trying to get rid of that doom wheel so it don't plow into the side of my great weapon guys and tie them up. And I missed with 1 cannon, and I only did 1 wound with the other. So it was suck, Oh, I'm sorry, take that back. What I did was, the one on the far right, I picked off that Packmaster from the Rat Ogres. And the reason I did that is now they're stupid. And his general is fleeing the turn before. So, yeah. That's those last remaining 2 guys. They didn't flee off the board earlier. They had rallied, and they were able to shoot the cannon. So, yeah. So now the Rat Ogres can't go threaten the buildings unless they pass stupidity checks. So, yeah, that was kind of important. And here he falls short by about 1/4 of an inch. On 3 dice, he rolled a 7, and he needed 8 inches. That is unfortunate for my opponent. Now, I think I would have survived. I mean, he could have killed, some with the impact hits, and I would have been steadfast, leadership 9, reformed, and then the turn later chopped him up. But it would have kept me from getting to where I need to go. And I would have only had a few guys left. And with Queek, the head taker in that unit, he's got like 6 attacks at strength 4. It's not the worst, but I mean, he's going to kill some guys. So he failed a stupidity check. By the way, he did rally his general, but he didn't reposition him because he thought his doom wheel was going to get into me. And the Rat Ogre still failed on a leadership 8. So yeah, there's that. My helicopter for my turn flutters over and gets rid of that rat dart, because although they can't occupy a building, they're the closest to the building, and I just didn't want them getting annoying or getting in the way or getting into the flank of my hammers or anything like that and tying them up. So I eliminate that rat dart with the helicopter. And there's my cannon. I must still be on the Skaven turn with the pictures. And yeah, that cannon's deceased. No more. It is a X cannon, a non-cannon. Alright, so now things go. Here's what happens. I charge his general's unit with my gray weapon guys. I thought he would just hold, because I thought it'd be a close fight with his special character and then a chieftain in there. He flees. He fled really far, like 11 inches, right in front of my helicopter. So my helicopter charges it. He has to auto flee, and I rolled 10 plus my 10-inch move, and I go 20 inches and I catch him and destroy him. So my great weapons redirect into the side of his rat ogres, and they're immunopsychology, so they can't flee because they're still frenzy. They're stupid but frenzy. So that goes is going to go bad for him. I'm still worried about the rat ogres, but I'm in their flank. Charge them with the hammers, and they flee. The hell pit moved to the side of that building to contest it, to get the 1 point for it. I think he's thinking I'll have to deal with him. Yeah, so then my runesmith charged the Grey Seer, and he fled that. And on his turn, he had tried to dreaded 13th my great weapon guys, and he passed it, but I was able to scroll it with my last runesmith. Still had to scroll. I've never used it, like turn 5 now, and now this is a 7-turn game, but it's like turn 5. So yeah, stop that. Stop Crack's call with my dice. He's trying to Crack's call me, and then dreaded 13th my big unit. So I kill the rat ogres, break them, and he's on snake eyes with the banner, flank, charge, and the wounds I did. The hatred is brutal, with the charge bonus, extra strength. I'm chopping the crap out of him. I kill the rat ogres and flee them, but it's still at this point some very contentious stuff going on, because it's only about the buildings. I don't really have a unit near this yellow building. He probably should have done something different with his hell pit, but he's trying not to get shot by the cannon, I think. And then he's got these little skirmisher guys still back there that could get in one of these buildings. And he's still got that slave unit, which they fled away, but they could rally. There is a character in there, so their leadership's not horrible, but I need to get units back in to where he's at. Oh, that's a horrible picture. I don't know what's wrong with that picture. So I'm going to get rid of that picture. So he rallies his Grey Seer, and he's got another shot at dreaded 13th, and he fails to get the spell off, because he could have turned that unit of great weapons into clan rats, and he could have moved into that yellow building, and I would have been screwed. So that failure kind of has, when he's so close to the board edge, he can't really flee another charge. His dual mill starts moving back. He's trying to make a long move into my great weapons, but he didn't. He only rolled like a 6 or something. He needed like 15 inches. So now it's really, with that dreaded 13th not going off, that was pretty huge. He kind of blocks up my miners with a rat dart, remaining little rat dart back there, but they're pretty much out of the game. So I'm going to end up moving into the watchtower with my great weapons. I'm probably skipping ahead. But so on the dwarf turn, I move my copter over here next to the yellow building. That'll give me control of it. You have to be within 12 of a building, and then the closest unit controls it. I can't occupy, but I control it. I charge into there, so I'll be able to direct my 2 attacks on the Grey Seer if I survive. And then, yeah, I just charge that into there to get them out of the way. Really nothing else I could do with them. And then I blow myself up with my cannonball. So If this was a normal game, towards the end turns, I'd be mad about that. Score some points. I'm able to kill the Greyseer with my 2 attacks. He only had 1 wound left because of the 2 miscast, and they break, and I pursue, but I don't catch him. But he ends up not rallying, and he runs off the board. But yeah, so that was the biggest threat. I'm just kind of marching my stuff back. My hammers had moved into the watchtower, and since the hell pit was just kind of content to be sitting there, he doesn't even have a move really to try to get me out. You'd have to probably kill me to the last man, but that's pretty much where the game ends. It's a dwarf win by the victory conditions, and it was really interesting. So it's 1-1 for the special scenario campaign, and thanks for watching.